Assalamu alaikum and welcome. Today, we're diving into the final verses of Surah An-Nur, the incredible chapter of light. Now, this chapter takes us on a huge journey, right? We go through law, social etiquette, and that unforgettable metaphor of divine light. But after all that, how does it all wrap up? What's the final word? So yeah, think about it. After building this amazing foundation for a society that's both just and illuminated, what's the mic drop moment? You might be expecting some beautiful, poetic metaphor to tie it all together, but what we get is something, well, it's surprisingly, and I think powerfully, direct. And that right there tells you everything about the shift in tone. The surah doesn't end with a poetic flourish. It lands with the hard, solid ground of reality. This final seal is all about three core ideas: accountability, being present, and absolute undeniable authority. Let's see how these last three verses bring that home. So let's kick things off with that first principle, presence. We see it right away in verse 62, which gives us this really practical, down-to-earth definition of what it means to be a believer, not just in your heart, but as part of a community with a shared mission. Wow, the language here is just so clear, isn't it? It says the true believers are the ones who, when they're all together, working on something important, they don't just dip out, they ask permission. And it's so important that it basically says it twice for emphasis. Those people, the ones who ask, they are the ones who truly believe. The point here is just so crucial. Belief is measured by your follow-through. It's not enough to just show up at the beginning. Real commitment, real faith means staying present, staying engaged, and respecting the collective goal until the job is actually done. Faith isn't a passive thing. It's an active state of being there. Okay, so let's break that down. First, real believers don't do a vanishing act when things get real. Second, asking for permission isn't just about being polite. It's about acknowledging that you're part of a team with leadership and a shared goal. And all of this leads to this really cool idea of faith as a kind of relational discipline. It's all about how we function together. So we've got this foundation of presence locked in. Now, the tone gets a lot sharper. Verse 63 shifts gears from defining faith to issuing a very direct, very sobering warning against being too casual, against disrespecting the heart of the community. The instruction here is crystal clear. You do not address the messenger the same way you'd shout out to your friend. There's a totally different level of respect required here. And the consequences for ignoring this? They are severe. A warning to beware of fitna, a great trial, or a painful punishment. You could really say this verse just absolutely kills casual disrespect. It sets a sacred boundary, an etiquette that you just can't ignore or treat lightly. The relationship with the prophet is on a fundamentally different plane than our relationships with each other. Just think about what this means. First, that difference in how you speak to someone is critical. Second, if you think you can just kind of slip away and no one will notice, well, the verse is clear. Allah knows. There's no hiding. And third, and this is so important, look at the order of consequences. The first thing mentioned isn't punishment, it's fitna. So what in the world is this fitna? It's such a powerful idea. It's not just some external problem. It's an internal state of being. It's confusion, it's fracture, it's a total loss of clarity. It's like the lights go out on the inside first, long before any external punishment shows up. And that brings us to the grand finale, verse 64. This is it. This is the ultimate statement of reality, the final lock on the door that frames everything else we've talked about. I mean, just listen to the absolute certainty in those words. It starts with unquestionably, no room for doubt. It asserts total ownership, total knowledge of where we are right now, and the absolute certainty of a day of return and reckoning. There is zero ambiguity here. This final verse just hammers home four unshakable pillars of reality, one right after the other. First up, ownership. It is absolute. Everything in the heavens and the earth, no exceptions, belongs to Allah. Second, knowledge. And it's current. This isn't a history book. He knows the state you are in right now, this very second. Third, the return. It is guaranteed. It is a fixed, inevitable appointment in the future for every single one of us. And finally, fourth, the accounting. It's going to be detailed, it's going to be precise. He will inform us of what we did with nothing left out. So what's the bottom line here? It's that nothing is ever forgotten. Nothing slips through the cracks. The ledger is complete and permanent. And that is the ultimate foundation of accountability that holds up this entire chapter of light. Okay, so let's zoom out. What do these final verses tell us about the surah as a whole? They show us that An-Nur isn't just a single spotlight on one or two issues. No, it's a complete interconnected system for building a civilization. When you really look at the structure, you see this incredible systematic logic. The surah builds society from the ground up, in order. It gives us law before the metaphor of light. It teaches us manners before we get into metaphysics. It secures privacy before dealing with publicity. It demands obedience before granting authority. And as we just saw, it demands presence before there can be any real collective power. It's a total blueprint. And this leaves us with a simple but I think really profound takeaway from this entire surah. After all the laws, all the etiquette, all the warnings, it boils down to this one undeniable truth. Light only works when you stay in the room. You have to be present, you have to be committed, you have to be engaged for any of this to work. And that is the heart of An-Nur.